All right, so the first thing that we're going to ask you to do this morning, which will give you a little bit of practice with some of our tools, we'd like you to annotate on the screen where you think your school district is going to be when school starts. You may not have made they may not have made all the final decisions, but what's it looking like for you? Are you thinking 100% in person, you'll see your kids 5 days a week? Or will it be some kind of blended learning where maybe they'll come in 2 days a week and then they'll have some virtual learning? Or are you going to be 100% virtual? And so if you click on your screen, up at the top, there's the annotate button. And then you can select a stamp and you can pick whatever stamp you like. But would you stamp where you fall on that continuum? I think when schools let out in June, that a lot of folks were hoping that everybody would be able to get back, that we'd have this under control. And then there was some thought of, oh yeah, we're going to work for blended learning. And then with recent spikes, I see that a lot of folks are going to end up being 100% virtual, at least to start the school year. And then districts will reassess as time goes on. So hopefully today, while our materials were written with a nod to digital learning and a lot of digital resources, we hope to be able to help you understand how you can adapt these resources for where you end up being in your school setting. Okay, so looks like most of us are going to be virtual. Okay, so now we're going to start taking a look at the first module in modeling our world with mathematics, which is called Getting Started. And this is just here so that you can see in your materials, this is where you're going to want to have this module open, whether you have printed a copy or whether you're pulling it up on a screen. One of the nice things about the tables of contents, because we're working digitally mostly, is that these are all hyperlinked, which means that if you want to go to lesson 5, if you click on it, it will jump right there. And at the end of every lesson, there's the option to go back to the table of contents. So you can jump around without scrolling through the 20 or 30 or 50 pages of documents that are there. All right, so getting started is a different perspective in starting your school year. We do use it in Bridge to College as well, in which before we dive into the mathematics, we establish a culture of learning. And that becomes even more important if you're working digitally with your students and you can't greet them as they walk in the door in your normal way that you do every day. So you're going to use these lessons to help you get to know your students and to set the culture of your learning environment. And as I said, it's even more important to make sure that you're doing that at this point, because you don't have that face-to-face interaction with students, and because of the experience that your students are coming from, where they didn't have a traditional school year last year, and some of them may not have engaged in classroom learning in about 6 months. That since schools closed, some of them really had struggles with access that hopefully have been solved over the summertime by your district and other resources. But what we do is, the math is simple here to encourage your students to build confidence. And it's really about the thinking processes that are there. It's not hard to learn a structure for learning, but learning a structure of learning while you're also learning mathematics can be very difficult. So what we're going to try and do in Getting Started is give students some experience with some of the learning structures that we want to use. So later, when the math is a little more challenging, the structure is something that's comfortable and familiar with, that they're familiar with. Okay, and it's all about getting started with a positive attitude. It is the reality that many of the students that will be enrolling in this course have not had entirely positive experiences in mathematics in the past. Regardless of what situation they were in, it didn't necessarily work out terribly well for them, that they've had some struggles. And so we want to start off with a really positive attitude and having them experience success. And so that's what this module is all about. Just to give you a quick glimpse, so that as you go through the pages, there are 3 different icons that we use to identify different kinds of resources. That first one that says printable document, those are, as much as possible, they are linked to the document themselves. We've tried to copy them into the materials so that you don't have to go elsewhere for them. Sometimes copyright makes that a little bit of a problem, but in general, you'll find them right within the document. Then the website and video links are going to be taking you out someplace else, and you'll want to think about what that looks like for your students as you're sharing things with them, and look for the notes that are in the materials. Sometimes the websites, because of the structure of the website, we can only link to the larger website. And so we'll give you specific directions of if it's a PDF at a website, we'll tell you to go to pages 37 to 40 or whatever it is, or to click on this lesson. And then for the videos, sometimes when we're using pre-made videos by other sources, we'll only want you to use a piece of it. And so we'll give you the timestamps. So you're going to want to look for those things as you go through the materials.